Hello, welcome back to the Culture Wave Media Network. Today we're going to be talking about episodes 7 and 8 of the hit Apple TV show Pluribus. I think it's the most watched thing on Apple TV as of today. I'm your host, Sean Villa. I'm joined today by Vinny Albano.
Hello, hello.
Now, Vinny, we took the last week off. How do we feel? I think we should probably go in order. Let's start with episode 7, and then we'll work our way to episode 8. We were just speaking prior to the mics becoming hot that you were a big fan of episode 7, yeah?
I was. I thought immediately just going into episode 7, it's nearly 100% focused on Minusos.
Minutia. No, Manusos, yeah.
Yeah, Manusos. And it's so interesting. I mean, he's a very compelling character when we're watching now Carol start to grow a very large affection towards the hive minds, which contrary to where she started. And Carol, in a way, she's had it easy. Had it easy.
Yeah.
When we watch someone like Manusos, who one is living in more of a dangerous environment in South America, but also avidly rejecting any interaction with the hive mind, and how gruesome and strenuous that journey becomes for him is so interesting to watch. And I have a feeling he's gonna become more of an antagonist now than an ally.
Yeah, I'm so eager to see how this meeting goes in the season finale next week. Just because, again, I think like Manusos and Carol are kind of poised to be on the same side. They want the same things, but they want the same things in drastically different ways. And I think Manusos's way of, I guess, confronting the hive mind is something that Carol's not capable of, as we've just seen, because all of episode 7 essentially is about how she can no longer function in isolation. Manusos absolutely can. He's totally fine with it. He doesn't want the hive mind's help. I love that line that they give him in episode 7 where he's like, "Nothing in the world is yours. You can't give me anything," or something like that. It's a banger line, and it really like defines his character of someone who's like never going to take a Gatorade from the hive mind out of pettiness because he just despises that they would even offer. Whereas Carol, I think she kind of views like her relationship with them as like, I don't know, almost like I'm just gonna annoy you because like I don't know any other way to like confront this hostility. And yeah, man, I'm really, really eager to see how the meeting goes. But I think Manusos is hyper entertaining to watch. He's such a fascinating character. And we haven't seen him really have an interaction with another character. He has very sparse like lines of refusal with the hive mind, but that's it. So I want to know, like, what's he like? What's this guy gonna be like around Carol? How's his English gonna be? Like, is it, is there gonna be translation problems? Is he gonna despise the fact that he's come this far and Carol doesn't meet like an expectation that he has? There's so many great questions setting up the finale, and I think a lot of those questions start with episode 7.
Yeah, I want to add to that too, that I love seeing all the little details of his character. Speaking of him trying to learn English with the tape recording, and he's constantly repeating that mantra, like, "I will save the world."
Yeah.
Which is, it's grand. It's really grand. It also puts you in the head of this character really well. I love how he's always attempting to pay back his debts, even though debts don't exist anymore.
Yeah, I love that.
Right? And those little moments where he's putting the money on the windshields and shit, that's awesome. I'm on the more pessimistic side to what you were saying, that I think he's going to meet Carol and it's not going to live up to his expectation, and something wrong is going to happen. I don't see us leaving on a happy ending here.
Yeah, him killing a figure like Zoja, who kind of represents something for Carol now, I think would be a really interesting way to set him up as an antagonist. It's just, I don't know if they would take like a drastic action like that.
Yeah.
But I do think that, and Scal has talked about this before in prior episodes, about like this idea of a human antagonist kind of entering the show, that like one way or another, we're eventually going to get to a point where there's human conflict in this world where it's ruled by pacifism essentially. And I think that is a well of oil that has to be explored at some point.
Yeah.
I just don't know when. And I'm not sure that I believe like the immediate interaction between Carol and Manusos will be antagonistic. But I think it's a possibility. And I mean, either way, I'm excited. I think like that would be a good way to kind of leave the season off, like as setup for these two are going to have a big conflict. And now the next season's going to be about the Manusos terrorism acts that he's doing on the hive mind that Carol has grown to love. I don't know. It's fascinating.
No, I agree. And knowing Gilligan and seeing Breaking Bad, he loves to end with cliffhangers. So it's definitely gonna leave with a crazy drop. I know that for sure. The whole human conflict, that makes me theorize that are we gonna see Carol team up with the other humans at one point? We see that she's growing fond of the French human. I forget his name.
Diabate?
Yes, yeah. Diabate. She's grown fond of Diabate, and maybe I don't know. That might become like an allyship. We might see like an anime battle happen. I don't know.
Who
right?
knows, man?
But I'm definitely on the side that I think Manusos. Jesus Christ, I apologize. Is going to become more antagonistic.
Yeah. I mean, it could work because I think, this entire season has been about the hive mind being the antagonist. Now we've entered a place, and, I think I'm more eager to jump into episode 8 just based on, like, what it's setting up for the next episode. We could circle back to 7 if something pops up. But now we kind of see that Carol is maybe, like, not viewing them in an antagonistic way. But I think that it's intentionally unclear if that's what's happening. Because she's keeping her whiteboard going, and she's still having moments of like this facade that she's putting on kind of breaking, that she's like, oh, like all buddy with them now. But at the same time, I think there is genuine friendship growing between her and Zosha, and I think that, especially now we've entered this element that she had sex with her, which is a whole other can of worms. And Carol's not the kind of person that I think would like have manipulative sex. So I think that it was a genuine thing. But does she view it as like, I formed a connection with this woman? Or is it just like, I had a moment of weakness. I had the 3 a.m. booty call, and it was a moment of weakness. So I'm curious as to like, if Manusa shows up and he's like, yeah, let's do it. Is she going to kind of like break this facade and be like, oh my God, finally someone that can help me? Or is she now like in a position where she's like, not sure anymore. Like, maybe I want to help you, but I don't know. Like, I kind of need them.
Yeah, I want her to team up with him.
Me too.
But at the same time, I am on the latter belief that she's actually growing a connection. Because one, after her and Zosha have sex, I was like, oh my God, is she gonna feel like dirty? Is she gonna feel like guilt about this? But no. Instead, she writes the first chapter of her next novel and lets Zosha read it, and then they wash dishes together, like almost like they've in a long-term relationship now.
Yeah.
And that to me was really interesting to see after that, the sex scene, because that tells me as an audience that maybe this is actually genuine in her perspective. There's also a part of me too that questions the lore behind the hive mind, that Zosha making the initiative to come onto her, is that like, does the hive mind work where that can actually be a genuine thing that Zosha can represent? Or was that simply just in the same idea that, oh, we need to please Carol in this moment, she's freaking out, I know what to do? Right.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. And we get a ton of hive mind lore in this episode.
Yeah.
A lot. We get a point of origin for the signal. We get the confirmation of what they're actually like doing and building towards, which is to spread the signal through a big satellite. and I think that they all sleep together in one place because it's like energy efficient, and they keep pets, and
Yeah.
they can't control pets as far as we know. It's just people. Like I know
Mm.
we had a talk about whether or not like that rat was part of the hive mind or not. It seems like that's not the case. So we got a lot of like cool hive mind world building, and I think that now the question has become more about like the emotional capacity of a hive mind. Like, does it love Carol, or is it like, like I had a thought about there's some kind of line in there, I don't remember specifically what it is, but the subject of what they're talking about is that like there's no new books. So like they can't create anything.
Mm.
So is it beneficial to something that can no longer create art to like please someone enough to make art for it? Like is it transactional in that way? Or
Yeah.
does it really truly like just loves Carol? Or like does it want from her,
Yeah.
because it does choose to like go away from her when she's sort of, negatively behaving or hurting it in some way. It like chooses to leave. But I wonder like how genuine a love between two individuals can be if one of the individuals is 8 billion people. It's
Yeah.
it's really
Yeah.
interesting, and I like that the show is starting to explore that. I hope we don't immediately lose that in the finale in exchange for this like Manusos entering the status quo, because I think that the like romance between Carol and Zosha is just like ripe for interesting questions.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And it also, that moment when they're having the massage
Hmm.
pointed to me as a really important moment because, you know, uh Carol is questioning like, "Oh, but you're giving the massage and you're feeling the massage." And she clarifies that she, Zosha, feels the sensation
Hmm.
and the chemical brain reactions that make a person feel good
Yeah.
individually. So she feels that, and she even says to bear all sensation and feeling, like to feel, a guy dying
Hmm.
across the
It's
world
too much.
would be impossible. It would be too much. Yeah. So that means they do feel individualized, like sensation at least. Maybe not emotion, but sensation, which
Right.
does play into that,
Yeah,
right?
and
So
Carol is intentionally giving Zosha individualism. Like she's
yeah,
making her refer to herself as I, and like I think there was some point in there where she was like, you're too good at the yeah. When they're playing the board game, she's like, well, you know everything about the board game, so let's like play something that like you can't kind of cheat at in that way. So it's like she is sectioning off Zosha to be like her own person in this hive mind, and then especially through like sensation and all that too, it is like an element of individuality. So I wonder if like the cure to this thing is to like love an individual in the hive mind enough to sort of like bring them back. I don't know. I don't know. And
yeah,
that's another element of the show that I think like I'm just so eager to find out is like how could you save someone out of this? Like what could snap them out? Like what's the show going to do to justify somebody breaking free of this hive mind? And I think with the way that it's being written so far and the themes that it's exploring, it generally like revolves around this idea of like love and connection, and because so much of it's about loneliness for Carol and then her finding a way out of that. So I think like maybe that's the direction we're heading. And honestly, I'm so excited about like the reception to like, some of these things, because I've been hearing a lot of Stunads saying that this show is too slow. And I think that's a silly take, but I think we're getting into like a very philosophical show that's taking its time and making you kind of sit with questions that it's not answering, and is frustrating to some people. And I wonder if like the patience of this show is going to come around and piss people off, which brings me back to episode 7, which I think is almost meditative in some points, that I heard a lot of people were just like, it's too slow. So like how'd you
yeah.
kind of feel about like this the slow burn element of this show?
Yeah, it's a good talking point that you bring up. For me, I don't mind it. However, I do understand it. I think the big example from these recent 2 episodes was the beginning of episode 7, where for, I don't know, 15 minutes, we watch Carol just explore, enjoy things. She makes herself a dinner. She dresses up, goes to a museum, goes to a resort, plays golf, plays some more golf,
Yeah, yeah.
And there's no dialogue spoken in that entire section. Well, aside from her like asking the hive mind, like, I want a dinner, right? Or something like that. But primarily no dialogue. And I love that meditative nature of these scenes and how slow the story is taking, because at the end of the day, this is a character piece. At the end of the day, there's only like 10 people in this story that actually have like genuine humanity and genuine consciousness. So you have to focus on purely the character, and that's what Gilligan is doing. He's taking the time to just feel the character and navigate her mind. I liked on the previous episode that we recorded how you brought up how good the show is at showing and not telling, which I think this whole sequence I'm talking about, where Carol's just exploring the world, is a perfect example of that. We're seeing her reactions and what she would do to things without actually being ever verbally expressed.
Yeah.
And it's the little things, and we're understanding where she's at. And like you said just before, this is now going into philosophical territory, where we have characters like Manusos and Diabate, very different sides of the the philosophical spectrum in a situation like this. And it almost feels like I'd be seeing, sometimes my Instagram just becomes like a lot of philosophy shit.
Yeah.
And I'd be seeing memes that it will be a quote about like God or like suffering or something. And it will have like a bunch of different philosophers replying with their own beliefs of that quote, right? Like Nietzsche, God is dead, right? Or Schopenhauer, like da-da-da-da, all that. And it just sees how all these intellectual minds from all of history are all talking about the same concept and yet completely going at it a different way. And that's where I feel like we're heading towards.
Yeah, I agree.
With Carol and Manusos and Diabate and all others too.
Yeah, which excites me because the way that I start writing anything is I position characters to have opposing views on the central theme, which I think is exactly what's happening here. And the reason I do that, and the reason I think it's like such a strong way to start something, is because it positions your characters to always have conflict about whatever the movie's about. And, conflict is the roots of all successful films. Yeah. So I think what people might have a problem with in this first season, which I think ultimately is just an exercise in showing isolation instead of saying that Carol's lonely. It's about showing how she's gradually, how it becomes sickening. How like that first scene where she gets a Gatorade is kind of fun. And then she gets to go to a spa and she's singing and it's still like, oh, okay, this could be nice. Then she's on the golf course and she's sort of like taken by this buffalo. But gradually, like this facade that she's putting on of like a smiling and I'm singing and, oh, look, I have the whole golf course to myself. We can see it slowly kind of fade out of her reaction. And we as the viewer are like, this has been going on a little while, and I think it's intentionally like, oh man, is this it? Like, is this going to be the whole episode? And for Carol, is this going to be the whole rest of my life? It's just fucking wandering around and trying to have fun doing things. So I can appreciate it in that way. And then in terms of like the philosophies kind of coming together, I think that this show, much more than Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul, is a lot more about philosophical questions. Like, I think Breaking Bad obviously deals with like morality, and same with Better Call Saul, and talks about love and all that kind of shit. This show is like, that's what it's about. Like, it's not just like a little aspect that creeps its way into it's actively a part of the show. And I think the way that like you kind of philosophizing about, are these people even people anymore? What is an individual? Is it better to be alone, or is it Stockholm syndrome to fall with these people?
Yeah.
Are they evil? I think the way that it like embeds in the average viewer's mind is really something special because it's making people think about these really big questions. And at the same time, it's letting everybody have fun conversations about what you would do if you were here with a hive mind that did whatever you want. By the way, YouTube, where are my comments at? Say what you would do if you were in the freaking Pluribus universe, dude. We got nothing on the last one.
That's true. Like, I want y'all to, like, I've been having these conversations outside of the podcast.
Yeah,
too.
I know. It's fun.
Yeah.
You can engage with your favorite podcast hosts if you just start saying what you would do in the Pluribus universe. Yes. But anyway, yeah, I think that this show has like a ton to say philosophically, and all of these questions are just so interesting. And what's more interesting to me is seeing how Gilligan responds to them, because anybody could be posing these big ideas to people of like, what would you do if you found out that God was real?
Yeah,
but like, the show as the author has to usually respond to the question in some way and say like, well, this is what we think. And I'm so curious to see like if that's something that people are able to receive positively, or if that's going to like scare the average viewer off of having this like huge, scary, complicated idea and then actually like taking a route to solve it and then seeing if like people agree, if they disagree, and if that affects their view on the show.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good point you bring up. Honestly, you recently finished Attack on Titan.
I did.
And I remember when Attack on Titan was coming out week by week, and just the manga too was releasing at the same time as the anime. Attack on Titan becomes very politically driven, very like philosophical on like the idea of there's a bunch of shit like euthanasia and all things.
Yeah.
Right. And I remember, it's funny you bring that up because people had very strong reactions to that. Mm-hmm. Even though I wouldn't say Attack on Titan was taking one side or the other, it was just presenting characters with their own strong philosophical beliefs. But for the audience to then see characters like Eren or characters that they previously hated, like Reiner, and then have this like different perspective change within these characters, most people still loved Attack on Titan to the end. But there were still a lot of people, very vocal people on the internet, that didn't like that. Yeah. They saw their favorite characters express these like opinions that they disagreed with, and then they like completely changed up, and they're like, "Oh, I can't with the show anymore."
Yeah.
So
it's so interesting when shit like that happens to me, for me, like in a show, when a character who I like makes a decision that I don't like but makes sense for the character. Another show that I thought was great at that was Ozark. Ozark always had their characters make these fucking crazy ass decisions that were like, what are you doing? But then for the character, it made perfect sense, and like they thought it was right. And then it almost, a good show will trick you into thinking like, oh, okay, like maybe they're onto something here. Or, you can just genuinely like believe that if that's like a more debatable topic that they're touching on. You brought up an interesting point with characters having something that like reveals a backstory. I think Diabate is going to have a great backstory reveal episode at some point. He's such a fascinating character. My family started watching the show all together the other day, so I got to rewatch episodes 1 and 2. I don't remember what country Diabate says that he's from, but it's one that like I didn't immediately recognize. So I think it's somewhere like, I would presume a little bit smaller and maybe like third world. Which, and just like the way that he's sort of reveling in excess and trying to present himself as like this outwardly like big charismatic figure speaks to me that he's someone that never was able to do that. Like, this is someone who has wanted to be this person and then couldn't, and now is presented with an opportunity to, and is overcompensating. that's the way that he read upon like just getting the kind of the gist for him again in that second episode, which we haven't really seen him in a while up until the whole casino segment. I think that was episode 6, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, just like I think another thing that I'm really excited for about this show is exploring these other people and getting backstory, because like I don't know if you were there when we were talking about how I love the beat that Carol went to some kind of Reformation camp.
Yes.
Yeah, like I love that. That like little tiny bit of backstory adds so much to her motivation for me. And now like same thing with Manusos. Like I would imagine that's what we're kind of closest to getting is some info about Manusos and like who he is. Like, do we even know what his job was? Did he work at the storage facility? Like, you know, we don't know anything about the guy, really. We know he didn't like his mom. We know he's from Paraguay. And we know he's pretty good at, like, fending for himself. But, like, that's it. I mean, and that's, like, for basically a second protagonist is very little to go off of. So I think my most anticipated thing for this finale is building Manusos, like, as a character. How much is he going to reveal to Carol? Is he, like, a very, you know, what do you call it? Like hesitant to kind of reveal information. Is he going to be very open with her? Is he going to be friendly? Is he going to be like a businessman about the whole thing? And is he angry? Like I want to know about this guy, and that goes for all these human characters. I think we're going to get a lot about them, and then I would love to know, like, does the hive mind feel sad? You know, does it get sad?
Yeah.
Like there's so many interesting emotional beats that I think are just like any moment we're gonna be able to grab one that's just like gonna really connect. Before moving on, I do want to talk about episode 7. I think this is the last thing I want to say about it. The ending of episode 7 I think is terrific. Where Carol embraces Zosha and has this moment. I think it's terrific for a couple reasons, but I mean especially because Rhea Seehorn is so good in this show. She's so good. Please give her an Emmy. And just this idea of like, we get to see her break for the first time. We get to see Carol break publicly because she has that moment in the bathroom, the episode before, where she cries. But now she just like fully admits that she's not strong enough to be able to fight this fight. And that makes episode 8 almost feel like someone who's losing more so than I think it presents.
Yeah.
And how do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's the way you put it is very interesting, and I do agree. I like it. I like it, and that the structure of the entire episode 7, because like we mentioned, we start with that montage of Carol like with the facade, and then the episode ends with the complete opposite, where she's like, the time skip happens. We're like 30 days in the future at this point, and she's just completely depressed. Like, she's waiting for the firework to just hit her and kill her.
Oh, that's another great moment.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that.
And I love the structure of not seeing what she's writing up until after Zosha comes back and she breaks.
Yeah.
Like, that final reveal at the end. I love that. I think just overall, it's very well structured for an impactful moment. When it comes to the idea of Carol breaking, it, for me, I like that you use the word losing, because her breaking down in front of Zosha means that the whole hive mind now knows.
Right.
Oh, we got Carol in our grasp now.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about her anymore. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't have much else to comment on that, unfortunately.
It's like a toxic relationship.
Yeah.
You know, like these people need each other, but in ways that like I think is not emotionally helpful or sustainable.
Yeah.
Like I think the hive mind needs Carol because it likes having these like pleasurable interactions with another soul. I think it enjoys reading her book and getting to talk with her and play a game with her. I think that's something that the hive mind like genuinely can get pleasure from. Which it's like biological imperative doesn't let it normally do. And I think Carol needs it because she just needs a connection.
Mm.
But I think what's so interesting about that is that I also think that the hive mind knows that, and they realize that she needs us. You know, like we're needed in this woman's life, so that's like power over her. And I love that Carol comes to the conclusion that they're just trying to distract her, and then isn't strong enough to resist, like hooking up with her.
Mm.
You know, she consciously knows what they're trying to do and that they have power over her in some way, but she's still not strong enough to actually stop
Mm.
herself from caving to it.
Yeah.
And that's just a great like character conflict for me.
Yeah, I'm just curious where they're gonna go with that.
Me too.
You know, like Carol. You know, I not that they would do this, but there's a possibility that Carol just steps away from the series, and we just like don't see her as the central protagonist for a period of time. You know, or yeah, I don't know. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
Yeah.
there's all these ideas of how is Carol going to solve her internal conflicts, and with what methods. You know, that there's so many different ways, but it seems like she doesn't even have a clue of any of the ways.
Right, because you can't go to your abuser for therapy.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, but I also don't think she's gonna find any of that in Manusos. Like, this does not seem like a very emotionally available guy, based on what we've seen so far. Which again, like maybe that means like that's why Diabate's sticking around. We haven't really seen anyone else, I don't think, since episode 2. Oh no, we see the woman with the bandage on her head. I always forget her name, but we saw her for like a second. I think in like episode 4 or 5. But yeah, they're keeping like what I think is the central characters kind of butting in and out. Like they're coming, you know, like we're getting enough of them to not forget about them, and I think there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I just really every week Pluribus ends, and I usually have more questions than I have answers, but that makes me want to find the answers in the next episode, and not in an annoying way. There are some shows that like almost rage bait you with like, oh, you're gonna get the answer, just come back next week. This show's not that. Like I just have a genuine like curiosity about it, about how it's going to explore things. That leaves me wanting to come back every week, and it kind of kills me that we constantly have to wait a week. But I do like this release schedule.
Yeah, I will say, I think my final thought is looking forward to next episode. It's the season finale.
I know.
So this can honestly make or break this season of television for me. Overall, it's been a very, really, really great ride, but they gotta land the finale.
Yeah,
they got to.
Well, Vince Gilligan has never once choked a finale so far.
Yeah.
I don't want to jinx it. I thought Peacemaker season 2 was gonna have a good finale, and look how that turned out.
Yeah.
This is explicitly my show of the year so far. I'm loving the writing in this show, and that's what I usually come to things for as a writer. I think visually it's great. You know what I noticed? They do a lot of stuff with the cinematography with the sky that I am wondering what that's all about. There's a ton of like low angle, like just person sky. We get a lot of that. And I don't know if that's like a creative choice or if it's meant to invoke aliens. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
And you know what? I guess speaking of which, do we want to talk about this like space reveal of like?
Yeah, we can talk about that for a little bit. Yeah,
because I think that's so fascinating that they actually like gave us some information about like a specific planet that it came from. That, you know, if you had asked me last week, do I think like we will ever see an alien in this show? I would have been like 100% no. Now I'm like, it's like a coin flip. Like we might get an alien, because they like name dropped like where they're from. They like explicitly said there's aliens and that they're trying to get a signal to more aliens. So it's like, are they all part of the same hive mind? Like, do they have alien knowledge up there?
Oh,
dude?
shit! Yeah,
you know, like, or is that like their own? Are they their own hive mind, or are the aliens there in there too, dude?
Yeah. So for me, my current theory is that whatever civilization sent out that signal on Kepler 22b, they died off because Zosha doesn't know. Like, we know that whatever civilization sent out that signal, even if it was a civilization, we don't even know. Whoever did that, Zosha refers to them as them. And
true.
she doesn't even know herself, right? She's like, oh, well, we're gonna try to pay them back soon enough, by continuing their signal, sending it out to more planets,
giving the gift.
So for me, I personally don't think we're gonna see aliens, but the idea of an alien planet, who knows if that civilization on that planet has died off or has not, or if it's like, I don't know, a living planet of some sort, like Ego.
Yeah, I don't know. See, because I know Vince Gilligan likes his sci-fi. Like, he was a big X-Files head back in the day. He was a writer for X-Files. And it makes me think that, like, maybe he's just doing this for, like, fun world building. Of, like, yeah, like, there was aliens, and they were on this planet, and they sent the signal out, and it's, like, just kind of, like, fun to theorize about and, like, have an explanation. But then another part of me is, like, well, like, why are we saying this if, like, it's not going to lead to something, you know? Like, oh, but I don't know. And then I thought, what is Carol's wife's name? I always forget.
I also forget.
Oh, darn it. All right. Well, Carol's wife, she dies in the pilot. But she dies after she's part of the hive mind, and it seems like all of her information immediately downloads into the hive mind. So being dead doesn't mean that your memories and shit don't maintain a part of this hive mind. So even if the aliens are dead, maybe there's still some alien memory in there.
True.
I don't know. I mean, there's like no way to prove this, and probably won't be ever discussed. But I do like to theorize that they got some, like, squid people memories and shit.
That would be cool. The only reason I don't think we're ever going to see an alien is for one specific creative decision that they made in this episode. When she's looking through the telescope and she's like, oh my God, I see it. I see the planet.
Oh, we don't see it.
We never see it. And I think that is because as a director, as an editor, you could easily include a close-up of like a POV shot. Oh, planet. Yeah. Oh my God! Wait, that's like really cool, right? But it's just like a fucking transparent.
It's a 180p fucking PNG. It's just like 7 pixels. Didn't render well.
But I think the decision to not see it and not visualize it is Gilligan saying, "Oh, it's not actually like significant. Like, we're staying on Earth. We're gonna keep this story on Earth."
Yeah. Okay. I probably agree with you. I do think it would be cool if in the season finale, they were just like mid conversation, and then all of a sudden there's like fucking aliens showed up. Dude, that'd be nuts. I'd be right back for season 2.
I agree. Actually,
it would kind of be like the ending of 28 Years Later for me. Where I'd be like, what?
Didn't see it.
Oh, sorry. Never mind. There's no alien. I promise there's no alien at the end of 28 Years Later. Okay. It's just a similar tonal thing. Although maybe in Bone Temple they have an alien show up. Yeah. Sorry, never mind. Yeah, I think I don't know. The world building, so interesting. I like that we're still getting more and more, and I like the beat that children have been born, because that seems like immediate confirmation that they're reproducing.
Yes.
But like maybe they were already pregnant. It hasn't been that long. And it's also not a ton of kids.
Yeah.
So obviously they didn't make the decision to have sex with each other because it's not 9 months later yet. So like we don't know if they're reproducing.
For me, yeah, I don't think they're reproducing.
Yeah.
Just because it's only been like 45 days. So pregnancy is 9 months, and they also don't have the ability, well, not to be controversial here, but they don't have the ability to like kill, so it's not like they're gonna like abort a baby.
Yeah.
But
that's true.
Yeah,
and I guess it's like more like new infants for the workforce. That rocks.
Yeah, that too. You gotta
they're keep... like, hey man, get them young.
Yeah,
holding like the newborns like holding a screwdriver and shit, like perfectly upright. Yeah, I don't know. I think like the next question to kind of pose about the hive mind is like, okay, so obviously they're trying to build a big satellite. That's what Carol wrote on the board. They're going to build a huge satellite to try and send this signal out, which I will imagine will have like a big set piece at some point. We'll get a big fucking satellite, which will be cool.
Yeah.
Then it becomes about, well, once you guys have propagated the signal, what's your purpose now? Like, do you just allow yourselves to starve to death? Do you continue to exist? And if you're continuing to exist after you've sent the signal out, what for? And then my theory is that once the signal's complete, they're like, all right, like, we actually like do a lot of damage to the earth, and since we're not needed anymore, like, we're just gonna die now. I think that might be the way that we kind of add stakes to the show, because right now it's like, I understand Carol wants to figure out a way to like get her people back, but she's sort of in a content place where she's like kind of chill with the hive mind, and apparently they can't get her stem cells. So like the growing tension aspect is kind of like not there. It's not set up in like a grand scale anymore of like, oh, they're coming for her. Like that was like the season promise, was like they're going to find a way to fix her. She's on a clock. Now it seems like that clock's not there. So like if humanity purposely deciding to die off is like the clock that she's racing against, I think that could be a cool way to accelerate the tension again.
Yeah.
And give her motivation to like have to work against them again. But I'm not sure. I mean, that might be too early to say something like that.
Yeah, I think it's a valid theory though, and I think it'd be cool.
Nice, dude.
That's the problem with this show, or not the problem, but honestly the benefit of this show is that it can go in so many different directions
they're
every
all
week.
cool.
Yeah, they're all cool. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a show where I think every like tweaker YouTube theory might be true. Like there's a chance, who fucking knows.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been super enjoying this every week. Vinny has a phone call he needs to take.
Sorry.
So,
No,
I'm just kidding.
I'm muting.
Do you have anything else you want to say?
For me, no. That was really all my thoughts. I'm just excited for the season finale.
Yeah, man. I'm excited to see how this wrapped up. Let us know if you guys are excited to see how this wraps up, if you liked episodes 7 and 8, and what you would do if you were in the Pluribus universe and you were an individual that was left here. What are you doing, guys? I think some of you have got some crazy ideas that I'm just dying to see you comment about. So we'll hold off. We're going to wait for those responses. But in the meantime, if you want to check out other videos, we got reviews up for all sorts of movies and TV. You can like and subscribe if you want. That'd be super cool. We're going to review the season finale of Pluribus next week, so make sure to stick around for that. And I think that's that. I've been your host, Sean Villa.
And I've been Vinny Albano.
And we'll see you soon.
This is The Culture.